Anybody responds to a question about things like lifestyle choices and health and standards with, well, you have value, is someone who I think is just likely to be too cowardly to make themselves look bad or mean by actually committing to a standard. Like, hey, is it okay to masturbate 20 times a day? Well, the thing to understand is that you have value no matter what you do. It's just such a small brain, disengaged approach, has nothing to offer anybody, but it still insists on itself. You still pipe up because it's just a tail feather to shake at everybody else to say, hey, I'm really kind. Guys, we got a doozy today. We got Greg Doucette, Eric Janicki. We got fucking Myron Gaines from The Fresh and Fit all sitting down on a panel talking about being fucking fat. I was looking forward to this for a couple of weeks, and we're going to react to the juicy bits. I found myself pausing every 45 seconds to go on like a 5-minute long tirade. We don't have time for all that, so I'm going to try to keep it to the parts that are both sensational but educational. You guys know the drill. If you got big dreams and bad genes, you are in the right place. We got Jimmy back there who just transferred over into Bull Mastiff on the Base Strength AI app. So he's trying to regain everything he lost doing high intensity. So he figured out that doing one set once a fucking week wasn't doing anything for his frame. So now he's trying to fill himself out. He's doing well. I think he's a little bigger than last time.
Our first prompt is, I have felt disgusted looking at a fat body. Can our agreeers please step forward? Whoever feels compelled to start us off.
Well, it's unacceptable to be fat.
Okay, that's a great start. I mean, I know why you say that, but it's one of those things where, do you know why you're saying that?
Yes, because I've been fat before and I lost the weight.
Well, me too. I've been fat my whole life. I've been way skinnier than I am now, and I've been way heavier than I am now. Was I less valuable at one point in there?
Well, I mean, you can make an argument that you're less valuable when you're fatter because you drain resources, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I mean, in general, being fat is unacceptable because you control every single morsel of food that goes into your mouth.
Okay.
It shows a lack of discipline, it shows a lack of character, it shows a lack of temperance, and when you're fat, it's an outward manifestation of your inadequacy.
So we start off with Myron doing what he does, being edgy, exuding all the false confidence that is synonymous with red pill influencers. It's so funny how they try to like force the big dick energy in the room. It doesn't even register as big clit energy. Myron says it's unacceptable to be fat. I think it's unacceptable to try and get rich preaching game and then come into this internet panel looking like a Minnesota cabbie. Now, there's an interesting dynamic I noticed here. A lot of people seem to care about their appearance here more than just the fit side, because Myron looks like he doesn't give a fuck. You'll notice that all the dudes here have given some attention to their attire, to their style, whether it's having their facial hair trimmed, whether it's dressing in nice clothes. And then you got Myron, who dresses like the sound guy of his own fucking production.
When I see somebody who's 500 or 600 pounds, all I can think of is, why do they care so little about their health that they can do this, allow themselves to gain that much weight, knowing it's taken 20, 30, 40 years off their life? I just can't imagine not wanting to live that badly.
I understand that. No, it's I've definitely felt disgusted looking at my own body and looking at other fat bodies in my life. A lot of the disgust I felt looking at people was me feeling disgusted with myself and then projecting that feeling onto other people. And I don't think anyone on either side will disagree that health is important. I know that my own mental health was way worse when I was spending every fixate of my life trying to get smaller and trying to be thinner.
I assume that everyone has the same opinion though, because unfortunately, some people have emotional stuff that happened, traumatic stuff that's happened, so you can't discount and just say, oh, because they're fat.
Boo-hoo, man. Like, there's way worse stuff going out in the world versus people saying, oh my God, I'm sad, I'm gonna eat some ice cream. It's like, no, dude, it's like, you're fat, you made that decision, you live in the best country ever. If you live in a civilized, first world country where you have electricity, internet power, etc., you deserve to be bullied. It's ridiculous to me that we have all these fat people running around, meanwhile people are being bombed in Gaza. It's ridiculous. We are so privileged here in the United States and in the West in general. When I see a fat person, I'm like, wow, you got the gift of life, you got the gift of being in a developed country, and you're a fat POS talking about body positivity on TikTok? What the hell is going on?
But now you're
here?
segmenting though, because not everyone thinks like that.
No, we need to bring shaming back.
Okay.
We need to bring shaming back in so many other regards besides obesity. We need to do it with sluts. We need to shame fat people. We need to shame everybody when they fuck up. Because shame has been one of the strongest defenses against degeneracy.
Louis C.K. had a bit about that, about how people will be on a plane 50,000 feet in the air going 500 miles an hour on their fucking phones connected to Wi-Fi, and they'll complain because the fucking thing isn't loading fast enough. That our tolerance to what we engage with, how we rate things, has nothing to do with a realistic objective standard. It is only based on what we know in the moment, which means as our exposure to more amenities and more technology, more ability to do things increases, our engagement with those things lowers to kind of keep us at like a base homeostasis where we're like just getting our basic needs met. It's a really wild thing to consider. And I think when it comes to things where human beings have to be responsible for, nobody's fucking coming in to measure your food for you. Nobody's coming in to make sure you're able to do the most basic fundamental thing on God's green earth, which is feed yourself in a world where there's nothing but abundance around you, at least if you live in the West. And given the abundance of food and the abundance of resources and the abundance of tools, if your position really is that there's not enough tools or resources so you can't judge people, then you're a type of person who is never going to see there being enough resources unless we're finally at the end point where everything is just literally done for you and there's no ability that you have to be your own worst enemy. Autonomy and empowerment has to be removed from you completely for that to be the case. Society emerges from people doing things and contributing to that society. The rule can't be that we only expect people to show up if they happen to be born in a society that's already finished.
Like I'm naturally skinny.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna get fat as an experiment.
Yeah.
Did it. And then I was like, all right, now I'm gonna lose the weight. And then all I did was just track my calories, ate the same food every single day.
Yeah.
Went to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and everything was controlled and it got done. Was it monotonous? Of course. Was it boring?
No,
Of course.
I agree with you there. I am naturally this way. This is with working out 4 or 5 times
That's
a week.
not true.
This is 100% true, bro.
Nah, bro.
No,
Come to the gym with me.
It's
This is me
not
working out.
natural at all, because at the end of the day, if you don't lose weight, by definition, you're not in a calorie deficit. If you're not in a calorie deficit, then you're gonna either maintain or gain weight. And that's the problem, is that people don't track their calories.
And that's true, but people burn at their resting metabolic rate a different set of calories.
Doesn't matter.
All right, we got a big fat cope, no pun intended. The fact that people have different metabolisms is the most bullshit non sequitur I could imagine, because that's saying that, well, you know, it's genetic because I can't eat what he eats and look like him. That's the perspective of a child. When you're making the case that this is just me, that's you, brain shut off, not engaging any more than you choose to. It's like when I put out the strength standards of like every person who's ever done a powerlifting meet, and people are like, yeah, but how do we stack up against people that don't lift weights? It's like, I don't know, how well do you do in a foot race against an amputee? Why would you even fucking ask that question? And even if you're making the case that, oh no, I am working out 4 or 5 times a week, I am doing something in service of this, it's not driven by the outcome, because nobody gives a fuck about what you're doing. This is people trying to turn in shit homework and say, oh yeah, you know, I was up late, my parents are fighting, whatever, hoping that you get full credit for it. This is like a Hail Mary of like, no, I'm doing something. It doesn't matter that you went to the gym. What matters is, what did you do at the gym? How many calories did you burn? What was your eating like this week? This is what you need to do to see the result you want. Did you get to this level? Did you exceed it? You probably fell short. So this checklist of, well, I'm still doing X, Y, and Z, it goes to show that it has nothing to do with actually getting the outcome that you want. It's driven by the desire to get credit for trying. Is it genetic that you and 5 other people in the room can all eat the same thing and will look different? Absolutely. But when people say it's genetic, they're also implying that therefore I'm not responsible because genes are out of my control. When in reality, there are no genetics that are going to keep you overweight as you burn more than you expend. That doesn't exist. You're not a fucking perpetual motion machine. Body does not manifest energy out of the ether and then convert it into fat. I'd have an immense amount of respect for every person on this panel if they were like, no, I recognize that being overweight is not as good as being in some kind of shape. I'm not gonna live as long. I'm not gonna be as useful. I can't go on walks, can't have sex to the degree that I want. But you know what? Given the balance of things I gotta focus on, this is where I'm happy right now. I feel okay with myself. I'm not gonna give myself a hard time. Maybe at some point in the future, I'll prioritize it. You get respect in my book if you're up front. It's when you have to twist around the entire meta narrative around values and standards and how we promote things as being generally better or worse in society, as if you can't do that without being oppressive and trying to erase a group of people.
Okay, so the reason I disagreed, especially when I heard the statement, I don't think I'll ever look at somebody based on their situation and think that I'm disgusted. Like, if I see somebody that's a drug addict on the street that's homeless, I'm not disgusted by that. If I see somebody that's incredibly overweight, I'm not disgusted by that. Do I think that there's an opportunity for growth? Do I think they've been put in a disadvantageous position that's probably makes it harder for them? Absolutely. I think I'm kind of an empath, so when I see somebody, I know that there's things underlying, and one of my best friends is 400 plus pounds. I've helped him lose 150, 200 pounds. He's gained it back. And I don't look at him and say, I'm disgusted, but I know how bad he wants it. And just seeing how hard he tries and then reverts, it's almost more tough for me than to be like, oh, that's disgusting, you know? And I think there's plenty of people that look at me and say, that's disgusting. I never want to look like that. So like, I know what it feels like on the other side to like look the way I do and get people look at me like, ugh, that's gross to like have that muscle. And to go back to that point, like you came from a fit place and like deciding to bulk, like that's a conscientious decision to gain weight. Like you already have those habit routines and skills in order to stay in shape. And then you use those same skills you had to pull back on the calories and knowledge you had.
So Janicki isn't disgusted by drug addicts, and he's an empath. So in the beginning, when again he started to repurpose what it meant to be disgusted by something, my radar went off a little bit, but then when he used the basic bitch terminology, describing himself as an empath, I got nauseous. Like disgust, it is an involuntary reaction that has nothing to do with higher order levels of mental thought that deal with things like values or ethics or how you plan on going about in the world to get the best result. I got my fucking eye on Eric. It's not looking good right now. And pointing out that Myron had tools that others don't, like obviously, if you're an athlete first, if you're used to exercise, if you're comfortable with it, you're going to be more comfortable. The point of all of this is that it is within your power. There seems to be a big disparity, people not wanting to acknowledge the actionable things that can be done. If that didn't exist, you wouldn't have to have the rationalizations like, well, people don't burn calories at the same way.
You can get fat and lose the weight if you know what you're doing and you have the knowledge and everything else like that. It's just about consistency over time. So it's like, I look at it like...
let me cut you off, because here's one thing that you just said.
Yeah.
You had the tools. So there's people that don't have the tools that you've passed judgment on, and you have failed to realize that with the tools, people are very much capable of achieving amazing things. But
okay, let's talk about said
no,
tools.
hold on, I'm not done.
Why you cut me off?
I'm
before,
not done.
remember?
And I stood over there and I listened to you, and I was like, it's a ton of bullshit too.
Sure.
But we're gonna address this, right?
Yeah.
You are passing judgment on people who lack the tools to do what it is that they need to do to get themselves to a certain point of health. There are multitudes of factors that weighs into what goes on with somebody's body. There are people that even if they work out, losing the weight does not come as simple as just going to the gym, cutting calories, watching everything that you eat. There are some people that have a disposition. I have a disposition. But does that mean that I'm not active? Does that mean that I'm not doing certain things? No, it doesn't. But you're passing judgment on somebody's body that you know nothing about. Now, on the flip side, what if I turned around and I did the same thing to you? You're talking about how fit and stuff that you are, but you're over there and you're small as compared to these other guys.
That was a fucking headshot. Oh my God. He stopped me cold in my tracks. I was getting my rebuttal ready, and then he comes out with that, and I was like, oh my God, Myron getting elbow slammed in the back of the skull. Look at this. Look at that face staring down. He's trying to laugh it off. He's like, that's cute. You know, you're fat. You're calling me small, whatever. But to have your name be Myron Gaines and to be the smallest guy on a panel, this kid looks like he's 17 years old. To be the least impressive physique on the panel and have somebody who's 400 pounds say, you're small as fuck. What are you piping up about? That just crushed what was left of his testicles. Now, this still confirmed what I was talking about before about the disagreement about tools, what they are, if other people can reasonably use them or if they have access to them. And he's saying, well, people can do wonderful things if they have the tools. That is objectively false. Everywhere, all over the world, you see people having access and choosing not to do it, still choosing to make bad decisions. People who have tools, who are affluent, still become drug addicts, still develop compulsions. People who, as long as they have choice in their own lives, will move towards things that are not good for them. And in addition to that, find reasons to justify continuing on that cycle. As you get down to people's personal stories and understand the ebb and flow, it's not unlike an addict trying to get clean because there's this pressure to do it. The only difference is when it comes to being overweight, there's this principle that emerges where you feel like I shouldn't have to do this. In the age of the internet and in the age of DoorDash, and the tools are available everywhere. So the real debate is to the degree to which people are actually responsible. The entire history of human knowledge is in your back pocket. You can follow whoever you want on Instagram. You can get tips from the best people in the world, from established coaches for absolutely free. And we have options for cheap, easy, convenient food. And as a result, most of the arguments deteriorate. They have to be based on either ignorance, because you can't make the argument if you know better, or they're just really lopsided bad. I mean, I still hear dog shit arguments like healthy food is expensive. And it's people that don't know what a healthy food is. They think organic and grass-fed is healthy, not just simply not fucking fried. Just not loaded with sugar. The average day of eating is still gonna be under $10 for what the average person needs. The thing is, they can't use that to satisfy their emotions, to foster their unhealthy relationship with food, where they've expected food to be the thing that entertains them, that makes them feel better when they're sad, that connects them to the people around them. All of those things are what tether people to being slaves to the food that they eat, and that perpetuates the dysfunction. You have the bullshit that people have a disposition. No, people don't have a disposition. We're not talking about how you metabolize calories relative to the person next to you. We're talking about what is required for you to not weigh 300 pounds. Not being 300 pounds just requires less calories and moving more. Literally, that's it. We're not even at the point of trying to maintain muscle or functioning like a performance athlete.
What are the tools? The tools are simply knowledge, which you can get for free on the internet. If you have the ability and the discipline to go out there and get the knowledge, then you're going to lose weight. It's just that simple. It's just that people want to always make excuses for why, oh, my feelings, oh, I don't know what, you don't know what people are going through, blah, blah, blah. No, you can watch your calories, you can go to the gym, you have time to do it. People just like to make excuses.
I don't think anyone's debating that weight loss is impossible here. I think the question is, why do you hate fat people, that you feel the disgust towards them?
Well, like I said before, it's a culmination of a bunch of bad decisions. I'm not going to go ahead and give the same level of respect to someone who's a fat ass to someone that has worked really hard and diligently on their physique, because your body's outward manifestations
There's more
of decisions,
factors to a
your
human
consistency.
being than their body.
Well, you could judge a lot just off of someone's physique. You'd be like, okay, well, this guy is lazy. And that's personified through their physique. It's the truth.
Abe, I saw you wanted to say something.
Just to take it back to the prompt, I think we just kind of went all over the place there.
Yeah, we're still focusing on the word disgust.
Just the word disgust. I mean, I would never look at someone and show disgust towards them. I mean, I think I would respect, like you said. I mean, you don't respect everyone, like you said, but I think
Respect is earned.
I mean, it is earned, but I mean, I think at a humane level, we can learn to appreciate each other's differences.
Yeah, I don't know if like disgust would be the right word, right?
I know.
Greg mentioned some health implications with being overweight or obese.
Yeah.
I think being concerned might be a better.
That's the word I was
a
going to
better
go
word.
for.
I hate this so fucking much. It's people pretending not to have a visceral human reaction because it makes them look less kind than they want to be seen as. So you have this stupid, useless fairy land standard that gets set that everybody else feels like they have to reach, where we have to like redefine what a basic emotion or feeling or sentiment is. Everybody has negative emotions. People feel hatred. They feel irrational anger. They feel bias. They might even feel something that's akin to bigotry. To get over that requires higher level processing, and that's valuable. But to pretend that you don't feel those things, that's purity spiral, like Salem, Massachusetts bullshit. That's not a real thing. And I have it's to the point I have a massive chip on my shoulder for people that try to pretend like they're too good to experience the most basic foundational human visceral reactions. Nobody watches my 600-pound life and sees people not only grotesquely overweight with skin folds and rashes, unable to clean themselves, unable to walk, are chained, they're prisoners in their own body, but to also see the dysfunction around them with the people that enable them, the husband who still brings food to his wife whenever she wants it. If that doesn't trigger something akin to disgust, you're a psychopath, you literally have no standards, or you have a fetish.
Men are more attractive than fat. Will the agreeers please step forward?
How come there's 4 guys? All right, we're living in a bizarre world where people don't see the truth. Like, how is it possible that they're thinking, no, being obese and unhealthy is more attractive than being fit and healthy? How is this possible?
Actually, you know what? This is precisely why a majority of women find a majority of men as unattractive. Because a lot of guys think this way, oh, I just be a nice guy and girls are gonna like me. No, they're not. She's not gonna suck your dick with the same veracity when you're a fat fuck as when you're in shape. She's just not. See, people don't understand that women are aroused by one thing and they're attracted by another thing. Women are attracted to, a guy that's confident, ambitious, makes money, etc. Of course, right? But they're aroused by guys that have asshole tendencies, dark triad traits, etc., and guys that are physically in shape. So if you want to get the best of your woman, where she respects and admires you, while simultaneously being aroused by you so she doesn't cheat on you, you need to have it all.
You're saying that's true for all women?
A staggering majority of women.
There might be 1% of the world that there's something wrong with them that might think that, yeah, you're 600 pounds, it's so hot, I love that.
The hot girls that you actually want, they exercise their hypergamy to the highest degree, and they want guys that are fit and have their money together, have their life together.
You're looking at me like you want to say something.
This highlights my disdain for Myron because there's a point to be made that's somewhat true about general tendencies over a population, but the way he frames it, it's with this irrational absolutism, and I know that they have all their studies that they follow about evolutionary psychology. Is some of it interesting, some of it's compelling, sure. But to act like it's fucking complete or it's a foregone conclusion is to woefully overestimate. Like, you have to turn your brain off about the capacity of this type of research to actually prove something conclusively about human behavior. There is absolutely a trend in female culture, and I talk shit because men do the same shit. Men lie about stupid shit too. We just lie about different types of things. Women have a culture of lying bullshit that they aggressively participate in. A woman will look at another woman across the table who has a facial deformity, who has rashes on her skin folds, and who hasn't showered in 3 weeks, and said, girl, you're a 10. That's the type of shit girls will do. It's like, if you buy into my dysfunctional lying bullshit, I'll buy into yours. That's kind of the agreement. The generalization is that women tend to be more motivated based on how they're perceived by the other women in the group. Women are not quick to speak up if one of them sees something as being wrong. Now, of course, this isn't everybody. We're talking about generalizations, but the same thing I think we can see with dating. Women have a very, very high incentive to make themselves seem rational and sane with who they want to date. And they'll list off the most generic qualities that in reality have fucking no bearing on who they're likely to choose. Every woman is going to say they want a guy who's confident and funny and nice and loving and plays with their kid and on and on and on. But in reality, the deciding factors very often go in a more dysfunctional route where the thing that you're inclined to be attracted to might not even be that fucking healthy for you. Guys do the same thing. There's guys that are with girls that are really hot out of their fucking minds because guys are idiots. And if guys see something that's appealing visually, they don't care if it lights their dick on fire. They're still showing up. The difference is there just tends to be this kind of culture of pretending like that's not the case. So yeah, women lie about attraction, but the way Myron frames this is that all girls are attracted. The phrase is they like dark triad traits. Every woman wants some dysfunctional ass bad boy. That absolutely is not all women. Myron talks about how he talked to 3,000 women and they're all like one type of girl. It's all like OnlyFans and club girls and people that are like still out and about dating. The average female does not fit that bill. The average person doesn't live in a city and go to clubs fucking 3 times a week. The average woman is not a sex worker. And you can absolutely find case studies that kind of fit what he's talking about, but that doesn't make a rule for everybody. And it's that obtuseness that pretends as if there is a more complexity that's absolutely insufferable, and it rubs everybody the wrong way. So it's like, I don't even want to support what he's saying.
The question was, are Jack men more attractive? We all walked over. Are we more attracted to Jack men?
I'm assuming they frame that because we're all guys here they mean women.
Well, men can be attracted to
If
men.
I had to switch teams, I'm going with the Jack guy.
Obviously, this is going to be like personal biases, but I think attraction is very fluid in the sense that I can 100% admit, like there was probably 40 pounds of muscle ago is when most women would be like attracted to me. Of course, like fitness girls, they're totally okay with the size I am, but like probably most girls I'm like too much for. So I guess like where do we draw that line of like, I think for example like you would be much more attractive to most women than me. Would you agree with that?
I mean, that doesn't mean that like if you walked up to a girl and let's say you're not her, like you're a little bit more muscular than she would, like if you have the charm and charisma, she gonna still go with you, man. It don't matter.
I have an interesting point, and no shade on you, but I think if you had Zach, right, you're on the end?
Yep.
If you put Zach and Greg and you put them next to each other and you did a poll, I think that most women would probably pick him if you had to like, because he's got the height and all that. What would you guys say to that?
No.
Well,
100% yes. The guy has a lumberjack vibe. It's not just being jacked. Being jacked isn't one thing. Being in shape isn't one thing. There's this idea of leanness or having excess muscle. What people are generally attracted, women are generally attracted to, if they like something like muscularity or fitness, they like men who command the room. They like men who are imposing, who make them feel small or secure. If you think that women tend to like leadership qualities, they want to be with the guy who is seen as the leader. And anybody can be lean. I mean, nobody's stopping to look at Greg Doucette in his current form when he walks in. It's nice that he's jacked. That's like a bonus point in his back pocket, but it's a completely different thing when a guy is like 6'4", big as shit, looks like he could chop down a tree with one hand. Women love that shit. And the trade-off of having that presence versus having a fucking six-pack, it's not even close. And this goes to show what Myron's obsessed with, I think, with his inadequacies, what he's focused on. I think he spent too much time cuddling up with his lean athlete teammates. You know, if you spend a little more time cuddling up with maybe some of the linemen on the football team, you know, maybe you'd see a little more cozy. It's like, it's okay, Myron. Shh, you're safe. You're safe in my big, soft, bare arms. I think that's what he needs to experience a little bit. But yeah, to reduce everything down to like leanness and muscularity, I think is really fucking stupid.
I feel like it's a subset. Yes, I'm sitting here because I do think that there is a part of it that is problematic. But I think that the problematic part of it is a subset of people that use it as a tool to weaponize whatever it is that they're doing.
I think the whole movement is a problem. The body positivity movement in general is a problem. All of it.
So you shouldn't feel positive even about your own, like for you, for instance,
well,
right?
I think if you haven't earned, you know, here's the thing, being happy and content with yourself, it's not given, it's earned. You have to go out there, work, and then you're gonna feel that satisfaction, like, I earned that, that feels good.
So at what point do you earn it though?
When you can look back in the mirror and actually, genuinely, not coping, respect the man that you see before you. And the reality is, people are gonna realize that you're gonna need to achieve a certain physique, because you have all these fat people, I love my body. No, it's a lie, dude. You're just coping, you're lying to yourself. And now all these people on Instagram and TikTok with the body positivity movement are lying to themselves. They're not happy where they wanna be. They just accept that because they're too lazy to make it.
No, but I genuinely do love my body.
Right now as you are?
Yeah.
Then why are you going to the
and
gym?
I'll explain to you.
Then why are you going to the gym?
I will explain it to you. I love everything that my body is capable of doing. I love the fact that at my size, I can do a lot of things that other people smaller than me still cannot do.
But you want to lose weight, though.
And yeah, right.
Which is good.
I want to lose weight because I love my body, but I have one body. Why would I not love it?
Yeah.
And because I love my
But you
body
understand
is
that your
why
body
I'm
now needs to be
looking to make
changed.
changes.
Yeah.
Right?
We follow that logic a little bit. He's losing weight because he loves his body. You only have one body. Why would you not love it? He loves his body. That's why he's losing weight. This is what I mean by people not choosing to engage with argument, but just using the definition they want to do the thing that makes them sound good. He's talking about some like deeper level. He loves his body. It's like, yeah, I love having a car. Like, hey, do you love your busted down Corolla? Well, it's my car. I love it. It's like, oh, really? Is that why you're taking it in to get a paint job and get new fenders to replace the rusted ones, and you're upgrading the tires and you're getting the whole interior redone? You said you love it. I do love the car. That's why I'm upgrading. What we're talking about is, do you love it in the current state? Body positivity is about the state of your body is fine. That's what we're talking about. Not what does it even mean to look at your body and say, I love it. Like, yeah, I love having arms and legs. So then you get this kind of doublespeak that exists on that side. And it's not surprising this individual had problems with people like, well, I can't mess with you if you're losing weight because I think that's harmful to people on my side, because nobody's on the same page as to what it actually means, because they won't really assert it in clear terms, because to stick your neck out in those types of environments where there is that purity spiral, it's a sure way to get it cut off, because anybody who can benefit by standing on your decapitated skull to elevate themselves a little bit higher in the eyes of everybody else is absolutely going to, because it's not about getting the right answer. It's not about actual principle. It's a status game that people are playing, and it's constant signaling. And their statements fucked up on both sides, because yeah, you do have to have an element of complacency about just being alive, because things very rarely go your way and people will spiral, especially really high performers all the time. It's why you get suicide and dysfunction in people who are wealthy. It's why you get it in people that are high performers. It's why we have so many cautionary tales of success in things like sports and business. If you don't have something to ground you to where you can wake up, smell the air, look at the people around you and be grateful and say, you know, it's good to be alive, then you end up just chasing the wrong thing. And bodybuilding specifically is known for that. Those personalities that are looking for something to anchor onto, and they don't have anything foundational. And that's where the self-care is kind of important. That is where something that looks like self-love is important. But in addition to not having a clear definition, we also don't know who it applies to. So we end up giving the same pop psychology advice to everybody. And people that are a little narcissistic, lazy, self-absorbed, don't like standards, they're going to be the ones that they've used the term weaponize 100 times in this fucking thing. They're going to be the ones that weaponize that, and that's their out. That's the reason they don't have to do enough. And we kind of have the extremes. Myron is obviously a broken boy. I'm so sorry, Myron. Because as important as it is to be able to earn satisfaction because you work for something and know what having standards is like, that doesn't work by itself without something propping it up. And on the other hand, we got this guy that is throwing out useless statements as if it's foundational to him being okay. Like, I don't know what it means to love your body. That's a nonsense statement. My body's a tool that does something, and we go through our lives modifying it, from messing with our hair, earrings, and jewelry, dressing it up, to presenting how we look through weight loss and the like.
Oh no, I'm not saying there's not a single problem. To me, body positivity is more about bodily autonomy. Like you were mentioning wanting to lose weight. My whole thing is like, yeah, it's your body, do whatever you want with it. I don't think I, as a human being, have a right to tell any of you what to do with your bodies. Body positivity kind of comes in and go, okay, you as a human being have inherent value. Just in the fact that you are a conscious soul on this planet, you have an inherent value. You are within a vessel of your body that you do have control over, but at the same time, you're not less valuable to society or from...
I can't stand this guy. I just decided right now I don't like any of this. Greg was right. He's like king of the fat guys. He's insulated from the effects of being fat, and he's downplaying a lot of the negative effects of being overweight, because as a tall model who looks good and is kind of imposing and has so many other qualities that attract women to him, he doesn't think it's that important. Which is also funny that given all of those things, he did have such a tumultuous past with highs and lows. But bodily autonomy, like, yes, you have the right to cut yourself and drink bleach and huff paint. Like, how bad does it have to get, though, before Mr. No Wrong Answers here actually feels justified in suggesting that somebody dial it back a little bit? I feel like this guy would pay for a few abortions from his teenage son before committing to traumatizing him by shaming him with the suggestion that he use a prophylactic. Anybody who responds to a question about things like lifestyle choices and health and standards with, well, you have value. Is someone who I think is just likely to be too cowardly to make themselves look bad or mean by actually committing to a standard. This is just what Myron is doing, but to the extreme opposite. And I find it just as insufferable. Like, hey, is it okay to masturbate 20 times a day? Well, the thing to understand is that you have value no matter what you do. It's just such a small brain, disengaged approach, has nothing to offer anybody, but it still insists on itself. You still pipe up because it's just a tail feather to shake at everybody else to say, hey, I'm really kind. Guys, this thing was so dense. There's so many different points that it can respond to, so many different clips that can be farmed out of this. You have Myron's hot takes on depression not being real and male inadequacy. You have the question of, is the fitness industry toxic? Is being a bodybuilder better than being fat, even though bodybuilding has its own health risks? There's a lot to comment on. I recommend you guys check it out. Bring something, I don't know, something to squeeze, a wooden comb to bite down on, because you're going to need it. Somebody at some point is going to say something in this to piss you off. It just turned out, for me, it was everybody on this panel. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Till next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.